Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And you might have some bad news if you are Gen Z. It looks like there may be a career apocalypse coming for you. And
yeah, especially if you're in tech or government jobs, apparently.
Yeah, they're like, okay, first we had the tech layoffs, and now they're blaming Doge. And if you've been to Reddit lately, and I've been watching the implosion over on Reddit, a lot of the government workers, the people getting laid off, are younger Gen Z, millennials, and they can't even because they were told they go to college, they get that degree, they go get a job working for the government or some tech company, and they're there as long as they want to be. They can take as long a lunch break as they want to.
But on taxpayer money, because they're getting those cards
for venture capital.
The whole idea of, people thinking they're owed a job after college is not new. I can tell you for a fact decades, people come out of college thinking that you spent that money, you're owed a job, and you get a rude awakening that you're not owed anything, except that you owe a lot of money. So, I'm not surprised by this. This you could have put this 10 years ago in some millennials, and I'm sure there were articles, 20 years ago, it would have been Gen X, It's just, this is not new.
Yeah, we were the slacker generation. Now we're like saving everybody's ass. It's crazy. So maybe Gen Z will get with it and be like, you know what? Nobody's coming to save us, so we're gonna have to save ourselves. And it might happen. It might actually. Might surprise us and be like the most resourceful. Resourceful generation, but right now they're all flipping out because there are no jobs. So
it's understandable. I'm not faulting for them for being upset.
No,
because it's understandable. I'm just saying, trust me, this isn't new. It happens to a lot of people, but to be fair, it's a lot more expensive now.
Yeah, and we're kind of looking like at our kids too, and I'm like, man, it's not looking too good for them out there right now. I'm gonna be honest. College degree or not, it's not looking too good. So let's talk about that cheery thought. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Check out the Shadowbinders pins. We're going to leave this up for another week or so out on Kickstarter. We have about two dozen sets maybe that haven't been spoken for yet. So if you want to grab them, go out to Kickstarter and get a set of these hard enamel pins, chibi versions of the Shadowbinders cast. Check it out. Thank you for the support. So this is coming from, I think, Business Insider. And this is going to be our reaction to it because I actually haven't read through the whole thing yet.
At all.
And they're talking about this guy, Ryan Kim, who had a post-graduation game plan. He was going to become a database manager.
Okay.
And he was going to break into fintech. Well, that imploded. And then the tech industry laid off nearly 500,000 workers. So he had
trouble getting an internship. I'm sure you did.
Yeah. He was far from the only Gen Zer making the same pivot last year, according to the job site Handshake. Oh yeah, he was going to do public service. So tech imploded. He was going to go into the government, and he had to make the pivot. But then that's imploding too. So according to Handshake, the share of applications it received from college seniors for entry-level openings in tech dropped by 19% from 2022, and the share to jobs in government doubled. Yeah. Now we have Doge.
High school students are being surveyed. They said that tech giants like Google and Apple they said about the places they most wanted to work. But last year they started saying FBI, NASA. Hey, I'm all for that one. I actually thought about becoming an FBI agent once, or a profiler. That was a whole other story. But yeah, NASA job. Also. I know. That's why I didn't do it. NASA also would have got my attention because I wanted to go to space camp so bad when I was a kid. Anyway.
Or you could work for SpaceX, but you're working for
Nazi. They want to go Silicon Valley and not Capitol Hill. And I'm like, but go where the people are needed. All right. We don't need more people to be sitting at home, not going to work and doing nothing, getting paid for it. What we need is that we need more like people in jobs that are the blue collar jobs. Because honestly, in a few years, those jobs are going to pay more than these jobs are going to pay. We need more people trained to be electricians, plumbers, that kind of stuff. There's openings like all over the place for teachers. There's, you might have to just pick a different job that actually has availability.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel bad. I do feel bad for this kid because he got a year-long paid internship at the FDA, Food and Drug Administration.
Oh, that's kind of cool for him. That was
His
pretty
performance
good.
reviews were good. He planned to stay on after he earned his degree. He said, "You hear so many horror stories of people in tech being laid off with little notice. Government jobs are secure. That's what drew me to it."
They were.
So much for that plan. They said this month, with his graduation approaching, Kim abruptly lost his internship amid the government-wide havoc that Elon Musk has unleashed at Doge. With most,
you mean where they're finding where all of the the overspending and
Yes.
Stuff's going? 'Cause we don't need a bazillion and one interns. You think this is Disney?
Yeah, well, that's it. And I was very surprised, like when they talked about gutting the IRS, because I always thought of IRS agents as being like older, stuffy, like former accountants. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that most of them are kids, basically, like not that far out of college, and they're all freaking out. And I mean, unfortunately, there's talk of self-harm and all this other
I don't want to see
stuff.
that happen.
No, but I'm also like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but all of us have been there, right? If you reach a certain age,
Yeah.
all of us have been there that you've had unexpected job loss at places you thought you're
Or
going to
a shaky job market or the economy tanking
Right.
and all that stuff.
Right.
It happens.
2008 was awful.
Yeah, I think it happens to every generation at least once, sometimes more often. So it's not new. I mean, it's almost like we're like jerks and not feeling bad. But what you have to learn to do, everybody else had to learn to do, is you just got to figure out a different way. Like if you can't find a job in your field, you're going to have to find something else you can do in the meantime, or you're going to have to pivot. And people don't understand that. But they say Kim is one of the roughly 2 million students set to graduate this spring into an exceptionally shaky job market, as is Squid King.
Yeah.
He's going to graduate this spring also.
Yeah. He was kind of fast tracked, and now it's like, well, what am I going to do? I'm like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But things were already looking tough for the class of 2025 because of the steep hiring slump. And
but they're saying in tech, finance, and consulting. The thing is, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, in those areas for now, but there are so many other places that do have openings. You might have to do something that you weren't, wanting to do initially until openings appear.
Yeah.
That's the mom in me telling you.
Yeah. Some people have had their offers rescinded. It happens. Others
that's
have received
horrible.
no word.
I know that sucks. I'm so sorry.
I've had that happen too.
I know. That's why I'm saying it sucks.
Sure, I had the job, and you even get the letter and everything, and then they just like ghost you or whatever.
Yeah, we don't enjoy this. I do feel bad because we've been there.
It's not just government positions that are taking a hit. It's jobs at a whole host of businesses, nonprofits, and universities that rely on federal funding and contracts. PBS laying people off.
I mean, colleges are losing funding. Some of them deserve it, though.
Yeah, and some businesses are actually built on it's almost like a parasitic relationship where they're not the ones getting the grant money per se, but they service the companies that are getting the grants.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I actually worked for a company like that. My boss was a former senator, Democrat, and we basically provided the government a service it did not need at a ridiculously steep price. Mm-hmm. And sold the government its own information back to it, but we translated it in plain English for people working there. And and it was, I'm sure that's probably dried up too, because it's not really necessary. It's not necessary.
I'm sure if it didn't, it's going to be cut anyway. This is the Department of Education. If they get cut, about the financial aid, and they might not get it out in a timely fashion. Now here, I want to say something about financial aid. Colleges have gotten ridiculously expensive. They're not worth, honestly, the money that they're charging. And the problem with financial aid is it's basically set up to keep you being a slave to financial aid forever, because there's no caps on it. And they need to have caps on it. Like, you shouldn't have to pay back 5 times what you borrowed. It's absolutely ridiculous. After you've hit, you've paid back at least 100% over again, or even twice as much, 3 times as much you pay back, it should be capped. They shouldn't keep charging you interest, because with the market job market the way it is, the cost of living, a lot of times people cannot pay back the loans very quickly, or they can't pay it back because they have kids or whatever, and they just bilk the shit out of people. And they want to do something. Instead of getting rid of financial aid, they need to put caps on financial aid. Anyway, that's my personal little thing there.
Yeah, no, it's
I've seen it. It's terrible.
It's awful. You can never get out of it. So they're just the job market's unstable in any field. Tech, they all thought they were going to go work in tech. And no, I mean, talk about like an identity crisis, because up until probably the last 15 years, I would say ever since 2008, everything's been kind of unstable and we've had some ups and downs. But it used to be like you could decide on a career, say that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life and go do it. And that is not the case anymore.
Yeah, you could stay at a place for years and years and years and be treated well and leave with retirement. And it's not like that now. It hasn't been for decades.
So basically this whole article is blaming everything on Trump, but it happened before Trump.
This is before Trump.
The tech implosion happened because those businesses were not sustainable. They were funded by venture capital. It imploded a couple of years ago. And basically they had a lot of bloat. They hired a lot of these college kids that didn't know what the hell they were doing, and they cost the company a bunch of money. And once, I guess you can blame Elon Musk, because once he went into Twitter, he gutted it, got rid of a whole bunch of people, and the site still functioned. Then everybody else is like, oh, we can fire like 2/3 of our staff and it's still going to work. Okay, let's do that. And that's what they did. But, the writer said they're impressed by the clear-eyed pragmatism of these students, but I'm also saddened by how old they sound. It isn't job stability what you look for when you're middle-aged with a mortgage to pay and kids to support.
I mean, no. Here's the thing, and I keep doing this. I keep running with it. I don't care what age you are. Everything's too expensive for everyone. Jobs don't pay enough for everyone. They keep having this idea that, oh, if you're older, you have it made. Do you know how many elderly people I see having to get a job at McDonald's or Walmart or whatever because they don't have enough retirement because it wasn't enough. It didn't pay well enough then either. It just didn't. This is not new. I mean, it might feel like it's worse now. I think things are more expensive now. So in some ways it is worse in that regard. But a lot of people are in the same situation, and it doesn't matter if they just came out of college or they've been out of college for 30 years.
Oh my God, here's so dramatic. So dramatic. And look, the effects go far beyond money. Students who graduated into the 82 recession, for example, damn that Ronald Reagan, wound up with fewer kids and more divorces than those who entered better job markets. Even more shocking, the research shows. What research? They were more likely to die early. Whatever gains in efficiency Trump hopes to achieve from Doge, its most lasting legacy may end up being the harm it inflicts on the careers and the lifespans of his youngest constituents.
Okay, bullshit. Doge's point is to go in and find corruption and find redundancies and stuff like that, like any other business would do, to get rid of the overspending and stuff like that, to hopefully make things more streamlined so it doesn't cost taxpayers as much money. That's what that's about. This is not the same thing, and the reason we're in the position we're in is because of decades of abuse and misuse and money going to other countries. If you're so damn worried about these young people, then you'd think you'd be happy that the money would stay here, potentially creating jobs and being less of a tax burden on people in the future, which ultimately helps these people. And they're not sending it to other countries to learn about gender studies.
This person's a millennial. 5 years after the Great Recession, my generation, millennials, was earning 11% less than Gen X were at a comparable age. And our net worth fell 40% behind theirs, focusing us to delay many of life's biggest milestones: buying a home, starting a family, saving for retirement. A lot of millennials, not all, but many, delayed growing up themselves. Like they didn't want to get married. They didn't want kids. But
listen, they said comparable age. But it's like, okay, adjust for inflation, for one. Two, but if you're at the same, okay, say it's the same 1 year and there's millennials there's a millennial and there's a Gen Xer, okay? And you're up for the same job. The job's going to pay the same no matter whether you're Gen Xer or a millennial. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to say, oh, you're Gen X, let me give you 20% higher money. That's not what they're going to do.
No, and look, I mean, I can tell you it was easier in some ways when we were younger. I mean, I was able to be on my own pretty much by 18, 19 years old. That's
because you lived in a really cheap place.
I lived in
Had you lived in a city, that would not have been the same situation.
No. And I actually I kicked around the idea of moving to New York because I wanted to do comic books, and there's no way in hell I could have afforded it at the time. But like, I don't even know if I could afford it now. But yeah, that's the thing too. These millennials are all like, let's move to the city and go get some job at some, whatever. And now I have to have like 9 roommates to be able to, know.
My hope for Gen Z seem to be a little bit more grounded, I think, than the millennials were. They, not all. You have your people out there that do dumb things, but overall they seem a little more grounded. They seem to be, They want more, I won't say tangible, but they want more things that are like it used to be, where you go to the mall or you
Physical
could,
things, yeah.
not physical contact. I mean, not contact so much, but you know what I'm saying? Like they want to turn it back to the 80s because they want that vibe, that how like lifestyle was, more connected, less, fake and stuff like that.
I mean, I think that's cool to some degree. And this is another article that they wrote too, the ghosted generation.
Same person.
Yeah. From college to dating, no one in history has been rejected more than Gen Z.
And this person's supposed to be a millennial?
Yeah. God. Okay. So anyway, yeah, back to the thing here. Yeah, I think in some ways young people, they watch an idealized version of the past on TV, and they wish that, things would be better if I could go back and live in that era, because look how good they had it on the sitcom I'm watching, or Stranger Things. You know what I'm saying? Like they look at it and they're like, oh, this would have been great to live back then. I'm like, I don't know if you could deal with not having a cell phone, not having the internet.
Yeah, that's true too. A lot of kids are on their phone constantly, and employers don't like that.
People would call you names and not get punished for it. In fact, you'd probably get into fistfights often at school, as I did. Mm-hmm. And the teacher would turn a blind eye. And, so, I mean, I'm just saying they're be careful what you wish for.
But what I'm saying is, yes, there's some big shakeups in some of these sectors, but there were shakeups in the tech sectors several different times over the last 30 years that did the same thing to the generations you claim had it better.
Well,
no one has it better, I don't think. I think it's just, I think the older generations did, for the fact it was more affordable. But I think that in general, no one really has it that much better than you. It was just, you think they did.
It's this weird dilemma. And again, this comes with age and experience, but every generation thinks that the generation before them is out of touch and they had it so much easier. And then that generation thinks that they have it so good. Like, you guys are spoiled now and you don't know how good you have it compared to, when I had to walk in the snow up a hill.
Blames the one before, like the song.
Pretty much. That's exactly how it works. So that's what's going on here. So, I mean, I think there is going to be a paradigm shift. I mean, I can say since 2008, we've had more like major paradigm shifts, it seems like, in the economy than I can remember. But, go back multiple generations, and you had, back in the 60s, and you had back in, post-war. And
I was going to say, back in the war, the kids their age were going to war and getting killed. You know what I mean? It's just nobody's had it harder than Gen Z. I know. And these people are so babied. Here's the thing. It's like, look, if they're not going to be jobs in your sector that you have a degree in, make your own. Go out there, and like he wanted to be a data start your own company, and do that. Get some people, like-minded people, and start it. I know it sounds like, oh, it's way easier or way harder than it sounds, kind of thing. It's easy for you to say that. It's like, no, been there, had to do it. I'm just telling you from experience. But there are other jobs too. Like, there's all kinds of jobs, and I know, like, around here, places are closing because they can't find people that can work. It's not ideal, but you can always go do that for now until things bounce back, or until you can find something in your sector. It's like, don't panic yet. Just, stay calm and try to think outside the box.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that we had maybe more so with millennials than we do with Gen Z, but there was a lot of group think. And I think what's going to save your ass right now, if you're Gen Z and you're listening to this, just, if you don't listen to anything else, listen to this. What is going to save your ass is being an independent thinker and not going along with what everybody else is doing.
Now, I am seeing some positive things with Gen Z that at least with our kids, where they aren't, group thinkers as much as before. But they also see groups on Reddit and TikTok that are just like, let's go destroy Teslas because they told us to. So who knows?
Yeah, I think if you are resourceful, and this is true of anybody, any age, whatever. If you're resourceful, you'll do fine. You're gonna have to just realize this kid is on this graduation cap right here. Nobody's coming to save you. So
mom and dad might, but that's about it.
Yeah, if they can. I mean, sometimes they can't or they won't.
A lot of people don't have any money, even people that you claim have money.
No. So nobody's coming to save you. So your survival instincts hopefully will kick in, and you will find a way to make it work. And again, the hope here is maybe this happens and Gen Z becomes the most entrepreneurial, resourceful generation.
And we have another another boom, like,
Massive
in
boom.
the 80s, when they had to be creative and we got all new things, we got new ideas and we shot forward with all kinds of innovation and exciting things. That would be phenomenal. I would love to see that. I would love that for Gen Z. I don't know what's going to happen because these are also the kids that are eating Tide Pods, but I'm just saying.
We'll see.
I would love that. I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, I think there's potential because every great generation overcame some kind of adversity, right?
Right.
And total economic collapse, social collapse, pandemic. I mean, come on, you guys got the makings of greatness. You just have to utilize it.
I mean, like our generation faced some stuff, but like even you said like, I was thinking like the Great Depression and stuff. Could you imagine what they went through? We didn't even go through that much shit. So I'm like,
my grandfather, I had to hear about from my grandfather, like how awful, but like however awful you think it was 10 times more.
Yeah.
Awful.
I've heard the stories directly from people too. And it was, a lot of people won't hear it now because a lot of them are past, but when we were growing up, we'd hear the stories and it was bad and we had it good. And you don't realize how good you have it. And you guys have it far better. Because I don't like our generation could survive if we had to. Like we could garden and do stuff like that. We were trained to do it back in the 80s. These kids, they don't have been taught to do a lot of that stuff, and they have no survival skills in some cases. Not everybody. There are a lot of kids that do, like grew up in the country or whatever. But some of these kids don't have any survival skills, and that worries me as a mom. But
no one is coming to save you. It'll be like Lord of the Flies. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, just don't panic yet. There are ways around it. You're just going to have to get creative. You're just going to have to understand that you might have to work for it.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap it up.
Yep.
Let's wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.